Let's paint the bases for TTCombat's Half Tilt, a Halfling Jousting game from the creators of Rumbleslam. The bases are these rectangular MDF bases, and I'm going to show you two ways I plan to paint the bases. One for the Chivalrous Knights and one for the Eternal Legion, because I want to give different teams unique bases. Before we get to painting, we need to clean up the MDF. The laser cut edges don't take paint well, and the residue can discolour the paint. Using sandpaper, I simply sand away the residue and we get a smooth finish. Once they are cleaned up, we can get to applying some texture paint. I'm using Sterling Mud by Citadel for this base, but I run out before getting to the second base, so I use Citadel's Astro Granite. But I'll be painting over it to get it to be mud using TTCombat's Trench Mud. Just cover the bases with your chosen texture paint. While the texture paint was wet, I placed a gravestone into it. This was an idea I got while I was waiting for the paint to dry. Since it's dry now, I'm ready to paint the Astro Granite base with Trench Mud. I give it 2 coats to make sure I have full coverage. I use TTCombat's Umber Wash and I give that a brush over the base. And with the Trench Mud base, I give it an Umber Wash and then I also use some black wash. I use the homemade one, but any black wash will do the trick. Once the washes are dry, using Trench Mud, I dry brush the bases. This hits the top of the texture paint and gives a little contrast to the recesses where the washes have settled. I do this on both styles of base. Now we want to add some flock into the bases. I combine some Jarvis Dark Green, some Jarvis Heather, and add some more texture, Life Colour Sprout Green and Fall Season. These Life Colour powders are more of a foam mix and add some good variation, and the Heather Flock adds a pop of colour to represent wildflowers. They'll mix with the back of the brush and they're ready to be affixed with either PVA glue or a pigment fixer. I'm using Life Colour's Fixer Fluid, which is a dark green and helps blend the flocking into the base by adding a moss loop beneath. Brush your chosen fixer wherever you want to add the flocking mix, then allow it to dry. Use the dry brush to brush away any stray bits of flock. Once everything is dried, I use TTCombat's Adriatic Skin and Trench Mud to create a highlight colour for the dirt track. This gives the ground a more worn dirt path look that fits the tilt ground nicely. Just dry brush the colour over the central strip of dirt. For the Eternal Legion base, I followed the same steps, but I used Woodland Floor Flock with a little bit of Jarvis Dark Green added into the mix to give it a creepy haunted area look. And with the washes and dry brushing, it makes the dirt texture match very well. Now to tie off the bases, we need to paint the rim of the bases. I use TTCombat Black to paint them and give them a couple of coats to get a solid coverage. I also painted the base of the tilt in the same way, using the same flocking mix, and the knights are ready to go onto their bases once they're painted. Here is Mickey Squire on his mechanical mount Cobb.
Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, and hit subscribe to easily see my next video. Or don't. Whatever, you're your own person, do what you like.